My name is Greg. I did dress once. I am a Spartan. So check me out.
Hi, I'm Bearcat Betty. I am a burlesque and sideshow entertainer and based out of Frederick, Maryland, and co-founder, co-producer of HoneyBee Burlesque. Well, I came to my first show. It was actually the same, the 80s show 3 years ago, and I came to that show. I participated in one of the contests, and I just had the best time I've ever had in my entire life. I've never felt so at home somewhere and with everybody, and I don't know. It felt like home. It felt like there was something here calling me, and they had an audition a month later, and I came and I tried out, and I joined very, very excitedly, and this is one of my first bigger acts tonight, and I'm pretty excited about it because they've kind of been really good influences for me, and it's been the best. I love it.
And we're so excited that she's been able to get involved more and build acts and basically be able to throw out some idea and be like, is this too weird? Is this a thing? Like, can I do this? And we just, yes, absolutely. People will want to see that. So it's just fantastic to be able to see such a creative, amazing person have all this inside and then have a new outlet for it to put it out in another way. So it's fantastic. Yes. So we're happy to have it.
I went to the very first official HoneyBee Burlesque show at Joni's in Frederick, and we were all crammed into an attic in a historic building, definitely violating fire codes. And I became immediately entranced by these incredible women, some of who I knew, some who I had never met and immediately fell in love with. And Robin came up to me after the show, and she said, "When are you going to start?" And I went,
"Tomorrow."
What? Yeah, tomorrow? Does tomorrow work?
Yeah, after that first show, we basically had a lot of interest generated, and since we were very new at the time, we held sort of like a meet and greet, and in the same location in Joni's, and that's when Lipstick Lamar, Johnny Moxie, Honeysuckle Rose, Jean of All Trades, and possibly a few other people that really didn't pursue it after that just because of their life circumstances. But we gained a lot that day in the attic, and it's wonderful. So, and then over the years, we really have just had like Kitty mentioned, we had an audition. We really just every now and then we tried to figure out how do we include people without becoming too many people. So that like meet and greet and then the audition, they were sort of like a one-time thing, but we've been able to recruit many wonderful folks and absorb them over the years.
I guess I started with burlesque initially by watching this troupe. I've been watching them for a couple years now since they've been in that sex club in Frederick. This is a much nicer venue for a lot of different reasons. They had a program on offer last summer to teach people how to do it, and I sort of dared myself to do it because I needed a creative outlet at the time, and it's been an enjoyable experience so far.
So Burlesque U is something we started we're in our third year, and we weren't really ready to do anything the first couple of years because we were such burlesque babies. But as we started to learn, we wanted to pass on what we've learned to other people because we had so much interest with individuals in the area wanting to get involved, and they were discovering burlesque. So we started Burlesque U, Burlesque University, and we run it from about April until July. They apply for the program, they get accepted as students, and then those students we spend probably about eight sessions with them as workshops, diving into sort of dump our knowledge onto them about costuming, the art, the history of the art, how to build an act, how to establish, a character or persona, just kind of a lot of tips and education. And then we do other exercises with them as well, and start to develop their acts with them. So they take an idea and then they get to perform in a show in July. And that's sort of their graduation. And then we do that, we've done that, this is our third year. So we teach them and we learn from them as we're teaching. Can she join me? This is Lady Bladie.
Hi.
One of my co-producers. Can you fit in the screen? Am I too big? Am I too wide?
If we stand like this and hold it, does this work?
Am I smushing the mic?
I don't know.
So what's the question? Sure. What is the future of HoneyBee Burlesque? I would like to see us just continue to improve as individual performers and collectively as a show, and to produce more shows of different sizes and different styles in different venues would be great. Because there are sometimes certain themes that might work. We try not to get too theme specific, so we like to have big shows, we like to have production shows. Smaller intimate shows would be nice for different types of audience, different size audience, and different size stages. So that would be a great future. I know personally, my goal, I'd like to just keep learning, trying to get my acts to where they're closer to reaching the vision of what I want them to be, being able to actually fulfill a bit more of my potential that I know is there. And I just haven't been able to sort of time manage everything between, working full time doing this and children in life. So that's my personal goal, and I feel like a lot of the troupe members probably share
what she said
the same.
I'd like to see us be more accepted in the area in terms of performing and have people not be scared of the word burlesque. And I'd like what she said, I'd like to continue performing and continue growing, and that's what I hope for us in the future, is that nothing bad happens.
So I think, we've focused a lot lately on educating ourselves, educating our students, and, which are our guests here in our home, and growing as a troupe. But I think, like Bladie said, the education to the general public about, especially in this area where it's not as exposed, is educating them about what burlesque is and what it isn't, and what it can be, and basically just sort of, like she said, being accepted or at least understood.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that would be good, because I think a lot of people emotionally, you know, a lot of people need this, and some of them don't even know it. And then the first time they go to the show as a whole, and also sometimes specific acts really call to them on a level that they needed, you know, in some way.
Well, we were talking about it outside. A lot of people come to our shows and it might be their first show and they leave like changed for the better, but they have like a life-changing experience just by watching the show. One example is one of our dancers, actually. She came to a show 3 years ago and then auditioned to be in our troupe and is now part of our troupe. So changes lives.
Yes.
And
And not just ours, we hope others.
Ours,
and
but
I
others.
can say, as a patron of burlesque, I specifically remember certain acts that I saw as an audience member that are still with me.
Some people have.
So their story that they created from scratch and developed and put that act on stage, their stories now become part of my story because I remember it, and you know, maybe it just hit me at a certain point in time that I needed. Or maybe there's just a funny moment from a comedic act that I still like refer to with a friend, and it just becomes like
Inside
sort of an
jokes.
inside joke from someone else's act because it brings us joy. So we'd like to kind of educate the public and
Change lives.
Change lives.
I need to text my mother and make sure she comes.
Okay.
Tonight I will be doing a mad scientist act. It is a sort of Jekyll and Hyde style transformation act where I mix up a concoction on stage and drink it and then promptly transform from a mild-mannered lab tech into my big, fat, sparkly self. Tell you that not in the like, oh, you're so brave way, but just in a, it's so nice to see, you know, representation of a body like mine or a body outside of the like acceptable hourglass figure, whether it's a plus size person or a standard size person. That is the acceptable form, no matter what you weigh. If you have a tiny waist, you have big boobs and a big butt, you're good. But I have depth. I have depth. So in addition to having shape, I also I'm round both ways basically, and it's cool to have somebody come up to me who looks like me or who looks completely different from me, and they say, you know, you're doing something that I've never seen before, and it's really cool to see that happening. And I'm still not used to hearing people say that to me. Even Robin talking about how she she thinks about me when she needs to find the motivation to, like, not wear her corset on stage or whatever it is. She says it to me often, and it just warms my heart, and it gives me the strength to, like, push through my own issues that I have with my body, or, you know, the bad days where you just don't, it's not easy to be kind to yourself. And it's a nice feeling to have, and it's a nice feeling to be able to reach for when I don't feel great, because we all have bad days. Not all of them can be perfect. Sometimes bad days are show days, and you come in and you hug your friends and you beat your face and you wear your gay bralette and you dance your heart out and you get all sweaty and gross and then you eat potatoes and you sleep. And then it becomes a good day.
Confidence. I say that as I'm stuttering in front of a camera, but like some days I will look in the mirror and be like, who's this handsome son? And like, not every day, but some days, and like, it helps when people are throwing money at you and saying you're beautiful while you're dancing the robot or something. But it's like, if you had told me 2 years ago that I would be doing this, I would be like, that's insane. I'm a shy man, and less so now.
So burlesque in general starts off kind of in ancient Greece with a guy called Aristophanes who started writing plays that made fun of the rich and poor. And this was something new and different at that time because it was to make fun of the rich and power. And this kind of starts the burlesque tradition of what we call edging up, which means you never make fun of people that are below, you make fun of people that are high. So, you know, rich and power. The Italians carry this on from street theater. If you see like Punch and Judy shows and things like that, puppet shows, you know, a lot of times they're talking about the Pope and wants to fun of banana peel. That was funny because you're not supposed to help out the Pope's getting on banana peels. In the 1860s, about 3 or 4 years after the Civil War ended, Lady Bladie Thompson brought over a woman called Lydia Thompson and her British blondes to Burlesque. And they were number one. They were doing parodies of classical plays and operas. They were also having female members of their troupe cross-dress that played male characters, which was also very scandalous. The third thing that kind of made them very popular and new and different and talked about was that the female performers wore tights, so you could see the shapes of their legs. And this was a time when people were routinely going through ballet, you could see ankles and knees and female legs, and forms that they weren't used to seeing. This is kind of what burlesque is like through about until about the turn of the 20th century. Around this time, there's a guy called Lorenz Ziegfeld who starts the Ziegfeld Follies, and this goes on for almost 40 years. And his tagline was glorifying the American girl. So he kind of developed this idea of like, having very slick-like, beautiful showgirls and gorgeous costumes or gorgeous not costumes, and they would often do what were called tableaus, which means they would stand still and approximations of famous paintings. So it would be like a living portrait, as it were. And the cool thing about that was that because they were standing still and not moving, that meant they could actually be topless because nudity was only obscene if you were moving while you were doing it. So a lot of the showgirls started going topless. So this is happening on Broadway. So in the southern part of New York City, Lower East Side, where there's a lot of immigrants coming in, there's these guys called the Minsky brothers who are trying to figure out how they can kind of replicate what they come doing for their audience, who obviously don't have that much money. And since it's a melting pot of immigrants, they don't all speak the same language. So they need something that you don't need to be able to speak a similar language, to understand and to identify with. So this is where we get a lot of slapstick comedy, like banana peels, that kind of thing. Because that reads to anybody, of any culture, anybody, no matter what language you speak. And I also start replicating this idea of the Ziegfeld girls, but kind of making fun of it. So one thing they do, for instance, to get around this whole, the moving is obscene, or standing still is not obscene thing, was they would have their showgirls leave the stage movies and clothing. According to legend, this happened when a girl named Dix came out. She had a little comedic number, and as she was leaving, she was taking the cuffs off of her dress. Because at that time, you did laundry, you were not so often, so the cuffs and collars would be patched, so you could wash those more often the rest of the garment. And the crowd went nuts. So she came out, unbuttoned a little more, but cut up more nuts, and so on. So according to legend, that's how the ending of striptease kind of began. So this is kind of what the Minskys are doing. They're making fun of the Ziegfeld girls by having them on the stage, take off shoes, put them and so forth. There was one performing during Fennell, who her gimmick was she did the world's longest striptease. She took up the artist clothing one week for 52 weeks. So the golden age of striptease, when you think of Gypsy Rose Lee and Lily Sincere, those folks, that's pretty much between the 1920s until like the 1940s, 1950s. The jukebox, full nude clubs, that kind of thing really kills classic burlesque in the 60s. And then we have a revival of it in the 90s. And
it's Randy! Ladies and gentlemen, the tension, it's palpable. The heat is swelling, it's getting kind of spicy in here. It makes me what do you want to do? Snap into a slim jam, oh yeah!
So I've never been to a burlesque show. This is going to be my first time. I'm jumping in feet first, but with my entertainment background, I feel like I'm ready to go. And just going to be something different. I'm also going to be performing. I have a little skit lined up later tonight. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be something slightly out of the comfort zone, but I'm ready to go.
Are you pumped? I'm elated. All right, audience, are you pumped? Are you excited? You know what? I'm excited. Oh my! I am so excited right now. Oh yeah! Commodore Bailey just can't hold the anticipation. That's right, this is Commodore Bailey, and I'm going to be shitless excited throughout this entire
on my stage business for this next game. I might be set up for any related to So, the game that we're going to be doing is going to be Biggest Thing, Rubik's Cube Master versus random person in the audience with a cassette tape. That's right. and it will have been strewn out. And they get a pencil, and you hand them the pencil, and you hand them the tape. Now we'll be doing flashlights here, basically while following the action. And then, you just gotta make sure that they want that tape. In the rare occasion that might be somehow fantastic,